Hey everyone, this is Nancy with Wildnote Customer Success. Wildnote is the platform for environmental consultants. In addition to our robust wetland tools, including the Army Corps wetland delineation forms, which we are discussing today, we also have workflows for stream restoration, mitigation banking, biological studies, cultural resources, construction compliance, stormwater management, and if you can believe it, more. From fieldwork to final report, we've got you covered. We're excited to share some big improvements we've made to our wetland product line. We've listened to your feedback and worked hard to make your experience even smoother and more efficient. If you're new to Wildnote, we'd love to get you started in a free trial and full demo, as you'll just get a taste of the tool in this next few minutes. For our existing customers who use Wildnote for wetland delineations, I'll be hitting on the main changes that you'll see once you begin using the Wetland 6.0 forms. Overall, we've added in more calculated fields for better data consistency, made the calculations run in real time, reduced screen clutter, rearranged questions and added more hide and show for better workflow, and made required fields more helpful. Let's start with the changes that you're going to notice on the mobile app. We'll then finish up with the web app. I've entered in some data to the Great Plains Regional Form. We'll go section by section and check out what's new. Okay, the first thing you're going to notice is in the summary of findings. You'll notice that the first three questions, these are now grayed out with the calculator icon, which indicates that they are calculated fields. So when the question is set in the underlying section, it will be set here as a calculated field and not changeable. That means there'll never be a mismatch between those two. Now, is the sampled area within a wetland remains based on a conditional, what's called conditional default answer. So that means whatever the answers are up here feed this answer here. And the rule is that if these three are yes, this overall sampled area within a wetland will be a yes. And if any of these are a no, then this will be set to no. But what makes this different is that the practitioner can actually change this if they need to in real time. Okay, let's move into the vegetation section. This is probably where we have the most changes. So you'll notice, first of all, the major change is that there's now a question, a leading question that asks you to select the strata that you're working in. This will eliminate you having to see strata that are non-relevant to that particular sample point. In this example, you'll see that we have the herb and woody vine strata. And we've moved the plot sizes up here to the top just to get them out of the active area where you're inputting data. And you'll see here in my first repeater that we've rearranged the questions as well. So species is first, we've put the indicator status right underneath there, followed by percent cover. Now, one of the great things that we've implemented is the ability to customize the information that shows in the repeater bar. It used to be that we just showed the species here, but now we've added to that the indicator status and the percent cover. The concept here is that when these repeaters are collapsed, you'll be able to have a view of your data without having to go in and out of each repeater. Thank you to one of our users at Nebraska Department of Transportation for that great suggestion. In addition to that, we've also added in a total absolute percent cover by strata. Let's talk about the real-time calculations. So when species is selected, a nice woody vine, some eastern poison ivy, you'll notice right away that the indicator status filled automatically. And as soon as percent cover gets entered, so let's make this a 4%, dominant species gets set right away, and the underlying calculations for the worksheets are being run. So that means you no longer have to hit the save button in order to enact the calculations. Now you do want to hit the save button to save your data, so don't forget to do that. All right, if we scroll down, we'll see the worksheets. And I also want to draw your attention to this little notice here. The strata contains less than 5% cover. This is some helper text there for you to pay attention to when you do have a strata that has less than 5% cover. As we know, there are some special rules around that. Let's scroll down and check out what's happening with the vegetation indicators and the overall question for this section. So you'll notice for vegetation that the indicators for rapid test, dominance, and prevalence, and in some cases there is no rapid test depending on what region you're in, are now being auto-checked. And in addition to that, the overall question, hydrophytic vegetation present, is also being auto-checked. And of course, this is what is feeding the summary of findings. All right, let's check out soil next. And you will see similarly that there is a leading question that asks you to select what soil type you are inputting. So if you're putting in matrix and redox at the same time, matrix only if it happens that you have 100% matrix and no redox, or in some cases you might have an additional redox only feature, and in that case you would select redox only and you would only have the redox questions. So again, just trying to streamline the workflows so that you are just interacting with the questions that you need to be interacting with. Now let's get into our hydric soil indicators. We will be implementing suggested hydric soil indicators. This is not in this release, but it will be coming soon. In the meantime, we did add in helper text with the definitions of all of the different indicators, and those are in the little eyes. So if you tap the eye, you'll get the definition of that particular indicator. And of course, we are setting the overall question, hydric soil present, as a calculated field now based on checking any of the indicators above. All right, let's wrap up with looking at hydrology. So in our hydrology section, the changes that we've made here are if you are selecting A1, A2, or A3, we are auto-checking those below in the field observations. So those are now calculated fields. Of course, just like the other two sections, wetland hydrology present as a calculated field as well. The final thing that I want to point out are improvements that we've made to required fields. If there's something that's required when you save and exit, you'll be directed specifically to that field to fill it in. So for example, in this particular form, in addition to percent covers, which I've filled in, I also made the sample point required. So when we hit save and exit, if it hasn't been filled out, you'll be given a notification. And when you click the OK button, you'll be scrolled to that particular question and it will be in red like this, so you'll know what you need to fill out. So we'll go ahead and select that, and then we'll save and exit. Let's move on to the web application and see the changes that we've made there. Okay, here we are in the Wildnote web application. You can see that here is the same survey that I was working on the mobile app. Let's check out what that looks like and talk quickly about the changes that we've made in the web application. The first thing that you'll notice is at the bottom in the sticky bar, we've now bundled most of the actions that you can take into this drop-up menu. And there's a couple of new things in here that we'll talk about in a moment. The next thing I want to point out to you is that the web application is now working just like the mobile app in that all of the calculations are running in real time as you enter data. In the past, you've had to hit the save button in order to see what the indicator status is and if there's a dominant species, yes, no, and to update the underlying calculations that are in the two worksheets. Now, as you enter data, those will be updated as you input your data. So for example, we can add another herb species. Let's pick big blue stem, and you'll see the indicator status will populate. Put in our percent cover, and once we click out of this field, we'll see dominant species populate. And of course, the worksheets are running at the same time. Next, I just want to quickly talk about a couple of new actions that you'll see from this edit view. The first one is Run Calcs. If you feel like for some reason the calcs haven't updated correctly, you can always come here and click Run Calcs, and that'll force all the calculations to update. The next is we're now providing you an opportunity to export directly from the edit view. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you hit the Save button. Once your data has been saved, then you can go ahead and click up here and choose Export. This will pop you into another tab. You'll be in the Export Preview window where you can see exactly what this is going to look like when it exports. So this gives you an opportunity to just go quickly back and forth between the editable view and the preview view to make your changes. There's also another way to get back to your data sheets when you want to make edits. If you happen to be in the preview, you can also just click on the sample point ID. This is a little hidden feature that we released a few months ago, actually. So curious how many of you have already figured that out. Now, in addition to that, you will notice that the formatting of the regional forms is slightly different. The header and the footer are now conforming to the latest Army Corps release. And in addition to that, we did update the soil indicators. So across all 10 regions, there were changes to this section alone in the form. So that's been updated as well. And finally, I want to point out that the remarks fields have been optimized to utilize all available space, preventing truncation of text. And that's it. Thanks for taking time today to check out what's new in the wetland product line. Keep your suggestions coming. Please reach out to support if you need some additional assistance. And from all of us at Wildnote, thank you for the work that you do.